Well, everyone, I've got the feeling that those, oh, I guess we're at this bit of the Bellular cycle comments are going to be particularly fire in this video. Because, look, in a way, at least for one thing, we may owe Blizzard a little bit of an apology. Don't worry, just a small one. Now look, we were excited whenever they announced the Cooldown Manager, but we doubted them, rightly, and then it launched, and when it did, it was missing crucial features. It was missing customization. It felt like a classic Blizzard move. Announce something cool, get some nice PR, under-deliver, move on, not necessarily because they mean bad, but because, goddamn, it's a big game and it's kind of hard to make things. And we essentially thought that because of that, their anti-combat add-on crusade was kind of doomed. And that's where today's news is big. They kind of just proved us wrong, because killing combat add-ons is no small task. To do it, they will need the big guns whenever midnight drops or afterwards. And the good news today is they just pulled out the nuke. I've got big news for the thousands of you who have joined me on today's sponsor, boot.dev, and that news is TypeScript. The entire backend learning path is now playable in TypeScript as well as Go. That's kind of huge. And it's funny, Lane's tweet is basically, fine, you win, we've capitulated to the ways of soy because enums. If you're wondering what an enum is and why you should want one, well, this is a good way to find out. And as for why you should care, well, TypeScript is Microsoft's, to put it simply, super-powered version of JavaScript. Static types, fearless refactors, editor auto-completion, a lot of things that make companies like Google, Slack, and Airbnb trust it in production. It's a really powerful skill. To put a long technical story short, it lets you catch bugs while you're coding instead of whenever the server blows up and kills everyone. So, what boot.dev does is it wraps all that good stuff in an RPG with quests, XP, boss fights, real-time leaderboards, and community. You get to enjoy all of that while you're wiring up databases, building REST APIs, deploying all your stuff to the cloud, and now being able to do that with TypeScript. And by the time you finish the path, you'll have a portfolio that is full of back-end projects, and you'll have the confidence to go in and dual-wield TypeScript and Go on any gig. That's going to look awesome to an employer. And here's the best way to save money. Go to boot.dev/Bellular. Use code Bellular for 25% off. And because 25% of a bigger number is a bigger number, if you do that with the yearly plan, you'll get the biggest saving. And don't worry, because if you don't gel with it, there's a zero-risk 30-day money-back guarantee. On Wednesday, Blizzard posted an article. The title was The Cooldown Manager and Future Updates. And honestly, that's an incredible understatement. If you just skipped this because it was a boring title, I wouldn't blame you. But my god, this is humongous. Here's why. First up, advanced cooldown settings. You can completely customize which abilities are included in this, which category they're in. There's a complete list of class buffs with some customizations as well. You can track them as icons, you can track them as bars, and there's no complicated configuration stuff either. It's fully just drag and drop over to the category that you want. And then, yeah, that's it. Done. Simple. You can order them however you like, and here's the kicker. It also supports abilities and buffs that you don't have yet. This is huge, and it means that you can make the perfect setup at a fairly low level, or for a talent build that you're not running. And if we're to assume that this works fully with importing and exporting, well, guess what that means? Fully pre-made configs that are actually good that people can share, all where you don't need to use a single add-on. It's pretty cool. And the UI they're showing off here even supports searching for abilities. Just like with bags, right? You can just type in the thing that you want in the bar. And, well, my money here is that this is all the same UI system. I think they're building basically on top of it over time. I mean, we've got a new quest log, we've got a new event system, we've got the warband screen, and now this. We're essentially seeing a WoW 2 being built under us, maybe even a WoW 3. And now, well, turns out I actually haven't given you the big news yet, so let's do the bigger news. Debuff tracking. Yes, they will add a new category here, and you can just stick all of your debuffs in that category. Or you can lump them with your existing cooldowns. It's fully your choice. And this will show if they're on cooldown or off cooldown, if they're on the target or missing from the target, and it's even got unique effects for things like, say, the pandemic window. And that's absolutely huge, because to me, this was the #1 feature that had been missing. But now you can actually play dot classes effectively without add-ons. That might even have an impact on how Blizzard can design the game. So Affliction Warlock, Balance Druid, all far more viable, or I suppose you could say, actually just viable in any way without using add-ons. We're basically now within spitting distance of proper WeakAura packs. But wait, there's more. There is actually more. There's external tracking. Now, in the community, we just call them externals. I think Blizzard understands that may not mean that much to the average player. So their official term for this appears to be external big defensive, which is a bit clunky, but at least it does communicate what they mean. This means things like, say, pain suppression, iron bark. Basically, you'll be able to track all of those. And again, with icons or with bars, fill your choice, and even with sound alerts. So every ability and buff is going to get sound alerts here. Sadly, we don't have a sound list yet. They didn't show the available settings there, but they did say they're going to do it. And what we can see here, by the way, these are wireframes. They're not live UI, but it does at least prove that they're working on this feature. Now, they also said they're exploring more edit mode hooks as well, more resizing options, more repositioning, even things like Cooldown Manager profiles being separate from edit mode. So you can have your edit mode like profiles for your overall UI, but then separate profiles for your Cooldown Manager stuff. And overall, this means that they are actually goddamn serious about replacing WeakAuras. This is the proof, and I think this version has got a real chance. I have a question for you. Have you ever customized a WeakAura yourself? I mean, properly customized it? Or have you just relied on, say, Luxthos's ones, which most of us have? Because if you have went deep into WeakAuras, you know it's an art. And a science as well. I mean, first you have to find the aura you want. Then you've got to figure out which tab to use. I mean, here's an example. We tried to add a sound effect for Fel Rush. We basically just wanted a little beep whenever it is going to be usable again. Now, what of these do you think it is? Do you think it's actions? Wrong, it's not actions, because this Fel Rush aura always shows. Actions are only for show and hide. So no, you don't want actions, you want conditions. You want to check the trigger conditions. You want to find the one that shows charges, and if charges go above 0 or if cooldown is false, then you can press your sound, or hit your sound, play your sound, pick one from the list. Now, that could take minutes, for some people way more than just a few minutes, to figure out and test. And like those of us who have maybe, like most of the people on our team, maybe from a computer science background, well, this is kind of fine because it feels like programming. But that's not what's going to be reasonable for the average person. What matters is that what Blizzard are making is actually going to be usable by pretty much anyone. And the example I gave was just adding a sound effect to Fel Rush. Take a look at like a Luxthos pack. That dude does serious goddamn work. That's really detailed. That must take him hours upon hours upon hours. Well, with this, it's going to be way easier. And certainly for a new person, using WeakAuras, I think is basically not really a realistic thing, even though they essentially are needed for raiding in Mythic Plus in many cases. Now, with the upgraded Cooldown Manager, we can easily get the same outcome, just playing a sound effect for Fel Rush. But based on how it appears to work, doing that's essentially just a single button press. No fiddling. You just find the ability, attach the alert, and you are done. Let's also talk sounds. You can set up custom sounds in WeakAuras, or you can just trust Blizzard to have some natural sound effects. I doubt you'll be able to have it, say, scream, "Oh baby, a triple," whenever something comes off cooldown. But at least that will mean that Blizzard will probably choose some things that actually make sense for the world of Warcraft. Now, the same also goes for everything else as far as we can tell. Reordering things is simple, it's just drag and drop. So overall, World of Warcraft's version is clearer, it is more natural, and here's the important part. It is, air quotes, worse than WeakAuras overall, but it's easier to use. And for, I think, the vast majority of people, that means it will be better. Now let me also put on my production hat. People want features that are SLC, not MVP. I just said a bunch of things, let me explain them. SLC stands for Simple, Lovable, Complete. MVPs, you probably know, Minimum Viable Products. They're not fun, but they do tend to be what we as consumers get. Now, the first Cooldown Manager was a MVP. It was a proof of concept for Blizzard, but it didn't have that much going for it. So while we liked the idea, we kind of did have to talk some mad shit about it because they were shipping it into the game. And paying customers don't feel good when they get a minimum viable product. Now, from Blizzard's point of view, that was, of course, the plan. They got tons of feedback from this MVP, and, you can't really compare this to WeakAuras. WeakAuras is a full product that's been going for years and years and years. It's genuinely incredible, but it's built for power users. This new Cooldown Manager then, it fits in the middle, being simple, lovable, and complete. It only does a few things, but it does them very well. You don't need any advanced Lua options, you just show the buttons and the buffs that players want. You let them reorder them via click and drag, just like any other UI that they're used to, and you have some simple customizable alerts. Now, where this is interesting to me is that back in May, Ian Hazzikostas, the game director, told PC Gamer something that we kind of laughed at. He said that their challenge was, and I quote, accepting and hopefully getting folks to accept that 96% of perfect is good. Now, we kind of laughed at that number, but as for now, well, while this doesn't do the advanced stuff that WeakAuras does, while you can't, I don't know, replicate Bejeweled in this like you probably can in WeakAuras, it absolutely does look like it does the job. And that means one thing, that the death of add-ons will come. The big picture is that Blizz wants to drastically reduce the number of combat add-ons that players are using, and that may even mean breaking functionality. Now, that's not going to mean that your boss fights will suddenly feel completely impossible. It means that they will be able to design fights that are catered for a Homo sapien, not for a whole bunch of code. Now, to get that right, it really does need to be good, like this feature. And that's why it's important that these updates don't have a timeline. They're not a surprise addition to patch 11.2. But I think the timing isn't a coincidence, because once 11.2 hits live servers, well, three things are going to happen very fast. First, 11.2.5 will go on PTR for testing. We'll see whatever else they're cooking. And very shortly after that, Gamescom. We'll have a big cinematic, tons of dev panels, perhaps like an echo of the BlizzCon that we're not getting this year. And maybe we'll learn more there. Maybe they'll show more gameplay and player housing. And after that, very shortly, will come Alpha. And then when we get hands-on with this expansion, well, no system or UI change will be able to hide from us. We very much will find out which add-ons will be replaced in 2026. Unless Blizzard, of course, decides to do a big surprise, and perhaps drop this in the next 0.5 or 0.7 patch. And I'd definitely say, on the UI front, Blizzard have been shockingly fast. Now, obviously, we have our gripes with recent patches. I don't think that they did this the right way, honestly. And I get that the feedback was useful, but I don't think it was worth the cost to paying customers. Changes came in so fast that they ended up being sloppy. The War Within story didn't hit every mark that we wanted it to. But one thing is kind of hard to deny. It seems Blizzard are tackling problems that we just thought would plague the game forever. I genuinely did not think they would do a WeakAuras competitor that has the customization, has the power of this new tool that they're presenting. So the fact that they're willing to actually take that on, I think that shows a commitment to the longevity of this game. And honestly, it does seem they're making progress faster than we imagined. But I'll tell you what sure as hell was not faster than we imagined. Getting a speed set on a new character. We're doing a fresh account challenge. Episode 1 got like 600k, really big. I think I bungled the marketing on part 2, but it is out. People do appear to have had quite the chuckle at it. So if you want to see us suffer in the Shadowlands, amongst some other things, watch this video next.